Welcome back to blackgirlcouch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina, and we're back to discuss the second episode in the mini-series Inside Man, written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Paul McGugan. A little less lenient with the mini plot holes in this episode. Maybe because there was just not enough of the character of the crazy one. I don't remember his name, but I know he's crazy. That guy. The case was, I suppose, interesting. I didn't think we would get an observation of a case. I thought we were going to be exploring the whole Janice angle, and we are. We just had this other sidetrack quest that I don't think we necessarily needed. This isn't a serialized drama. I think calling it a drama thriller is a stretch. I think this should have been labeled or classified as a dramedy, because they are certainly having the writer is having a lot of fun with the dialogue, which makes it interesting. However, everyone in this show is pretty, as far as character wise. I mean, I think the only person that might have a little bit of depth to them is the pedophile. And that's only because there is an actual deep self-loathing for who they are and their inability to stop something that is completely wrong. Everyone else in his life is reacting in the incorrect fashion in the idea of protecting someone, but everyone doesn't need to be protected. They need to be helped. And I think that very simple notion is something all of these characters that are involved in that particular arc don't have. And then the Beth storyline, it's beginning to feel more as if she's a puppet than anyone with agency. Janice is doing more to help her situation than anyone else is. And all she has to do is make snarky commentary from her feces and urine soaked prison. So I think that the dialogue remains hysterical in some parts, whereas the plot is nonsensical. Before we do jump into this review, more so than recap, wherever you listen to this podcast, Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, go down to the rating section, drop some stars, leave a review. My social media will be there as well. Like, share, and tell all of your friends. If you want to send feedback, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, you can leave a comment below. Beth goes to see Jefferson about Janice, showing, well, it looks like Keith is the one showing the very blurred photo on her phone, seeking help, but he is more interested in having her sell her soul to the devil with reluctance and disgust, choosing her story, saying, if you really just want to understand what it is that I do and what makes people come to me, you can write about my next case. You can observe it. However, you cannot make any mention of Janice again. And to be fair, she really ain't your friend. Like, she's concerned about her. She probably thinks it's a little weird. But in the case of all I have is a blurry picture and I can't go to the police because I know this is very flimsy and I just met her yesterday, I think all of those components are enough for Beth to be like,
no, fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch.
She does seem to be fascinated, as well as, you know, very much not bought into his appeal, because he's like, she's like, you really are an evil piece of shit. And he looked away like he actually did feel that burn when she cracked that whip in his direction. He's like, I murdered my wife. Of course I'm an evil piece of shit, with these very bare hands that she looks at, but she still accepts the offer. The world's stupidest vicar, whichever you prefer, tries to prove he still has moral worth to his captive by getting her a pillow, a blanket, and some handcuffs, and telling her to handcuff herself to the pipe.
Just who the hell do you think I am?
On one hand, Janice being like, this is not going to end any other way. You trying to prove that you're a good person is bullshit. Your son is the pedophile. I don't care if you believe me or I believe you or whatever. And the fact that you're trying to make me comfortable does not take away from the fact that you have kept me held hostage. You are keeping me against my will. Even though I must say, at this point, I would have tried to just run past him because I don't know how hard he would make an effort to stop me. But she's trying to play chess. And I don't blame her because she knows she's dealing with absolute morons. And because she's a loner, she's probably been thinking about this possibility in her sleep for much of her days and nights. I will say Mary is far more realistic than her idiotic mate. Being like, yeah, so I've been on the internet. There's not a lot of ways in which it tells you to murder someone, even though she says, yeah, I know about getting rid of the body. And I'm like, yeah, that's the hardest part. You think that murdering someone's the hardest part is where you're clearly wrong, because that's pretty simple. It's disposing of the body and the evidence. But she's completely right when she points out you assaulted her, put her in the basement, all to not protect your son, but some unknown person. She has no choice but to go to the police.
Right you are, motherfucker!
Granted, she's over there just getting absolutely smashed and hammered. I don't know. If I wanted to protect my son and I love my husband, I might have just turned in my husband. Like, you know what? I was not here when you made these unilateral decisions. And I do not want to be an accessory after the fact. So I'm going to have to just go ahead and turn you in and let the law of justice prevail. It seems that, I think it is though, a opinion of these smaller communities. Maybe because that's where I'm just disconnected. And I know that Britain has a much more harder line as far as reputation goes. Because I can tell you right now, this wouldn't be like, oh man, there was a misunderstanding. I feel like all of this is so easily explained away. Homegirl is more appalled at the fact that our species likes to look up every type of form of sexual gratification and deviances online, but there are no instructions on how to commit murder, and the bitch is appalled. I looked up executions and I got bondage in dungeons, and he thought that was a good time to laugh.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
I did laugh when she says, you know what I've been doing? He's like, drinking. She said, Googling, motherfucker. I'm trying to find some help for my current situation. Back to the prison. The next case involves a man that has disappeared after a speech, with Beth now observing. The daughter and the mother just want him found because hope is the worst bit of it. They'd rather just get confirmation of his death than just hold on to that hope. The mother came at the daughter's instruction. We find out that Jefferson was a criminologist. It's like, yeah, because she said, I heard you had superpowers.
Put your faith in the light.
He said, no, I have a doctorate and I happen to be a convicted murderer. If you need help pointing to who's the murderer in the room, I got you. I got you, fam. Other dude over there talking about the woman that I suppose he made a rack out of her skin. He's just on some other type of Ed Gein level. Harry goes to locate Edgar at his mom's, who is happy to get involved if he is in trouble.
I'll put a whooping on their ass so fast, boy.
Why they got her looking like the mama from every horror story where a grown-ass man stays in the basement of his mama's home? Edgar joins, he locates him actually, at a bar, and he joins him at the booth. He tells him he is involved with his friends because he doesn't take no for an answer. And I don't think entrapment, friendship is how you get friends. I think then they're just probably laughing at you and not with you. He tries to get him to confess to that being his flash drive. And I don't know, but I think if you didn't try that aggressive tone and a public ambush, this may have gone a little bit more successfully. To try to get him recorded, his mom really should have had him committed. She's the one that knew. I feel like most of these people need to be put in prison for their irresponsibility more so than their crimes. Well, and their crimes. Mary considers killing the bitch with a golf club while taking her bottle of whiskey downstairs while Harry gets Edgar in his car to go to church by going to his house. Beth is sent to pick up an envelope from Barney B. And despite not mentioning Janice again, he, meaning Jefferson, is clearly looking into her whereabouts. Janice herself convinces a drunk Mary, who finally makes her way down to the basement. And it's like, I'd rather share your cup because you might have poisoned it. That girl is on point. She's like, who can keep the cup? I'm going to just drink from the bottle. She tells her to cancel her Skype call because after that, things are going to unfold. She's going to help her get away with her murder, which if she had heard her 24 hours prior, would have known was a ridiculous setup on her part because she gave it her details like a walking tour. Just kept saying, what? Why would you help me? Don't worry about that. Clearly, she's setting you the fuck up. Don't go talk to people when you're drunk. She tells Mary she hates her husband, never really liked him in the first place, but now she really hates him. And this alibi thing is between them because she wants to help her son. And Mary believing that is her mistake. After putting on his robes and trying to put the wrath of God into Edgar, he only convinces the man that he should die. Harry decides to go ahead and take the fall for everything to prevent himself, likely from hurting anyone. And I don't get this. I'm just trying to do the right thing. I'm just trying to do the right thing is to get Edgar some fucking help. There's no other right thing that you should be pursuing. You need to think about the children at your church, the children running around, your own son. Stop putting all of them in first instead of this very suicidal, problematic person that probably is going to end where he ended up anyway. What are the vicar vows, by the way? Because I want to just quote them back at him just to tell him how much he's off about what he thinks he's supposed to do as a vicar. Because he kept saying it 3 times. I'm a fucking vicar. He decides to hide the porn on his computer. Beth is sent to the train station, and it turns out the husband being in a tux was key to his escape onto a train because he was going to go home. I thought for certain that he ran off and had another family somewhere, but no. He just decided to leave a party because he asked, was there going to be an after party? Maybe that's what he wanted to know. Like, he just wanted to get past everybody, but it's still stupid. Why would you? I'm not sure it was important. I think this was all just to show that Jefferson is smart and a good criminologist and everyone's capable of murder, so on and so forth. And most people are killed by strangers or by friends instead of strangers, unless you're living a vicarious type of life. I know all of this shit as a single woman, okay? I don't need to be told this by someone with a doctorate, okay? There's nothing special about this shit. Which makes me upset with Beth, though, more than anything, because she just keeps asking, well, why am I here? Well, what are we doing? Well, who would do it? And what are we waiting for? It's like, girl, can you not figure anything out for yourself? Make some guesses at least. Edgar is the other person that keeps having dumbass questions. Why are you helping me? Why are you taking the fall? But why are you helping me, though? He tells him to get the fuck out of there. And then tries to put the fear of God in him to stop looking at kiddie porn because his mother's disapproval and God looking down at him all of this time would not have gotten that message across. Mary, damn right, gonna tell her husband what the hell did you do after he once again tries to act like talking to the prisoner in the basement is going to help with his forgiveness. If you're going to take the fall, you should have just went ahead and let her go at that moment, right? Like, you know what? This is already set up. If she accuses me, I'm going to take the fall for Ben, so on and so forth. Let's just get her the fuck out of here. The longer this goes on, the more problems we are. And then she's like, yeah, everyone's going to think you're a pedophile. It's okay, as long as they don't think it's Ben. Dude, you don't think Mary's thinking about herself and y'all don't think that this is not going to still fuck up the rest of the family? So her saying you fucked the family was absolutely correct. But she's got it in her head, clearly, that she's going to follow Annabelle's, I know her name is Janice, but I'm calling her Annabelle's advice in the basement. Beth gives the mother the envelope with the award bloodied, made by Barney, because he figured out that she killed her husband, likely because he cheated, with only the daughter really looking for him, and now she thinks they may have dug up his body, so she fled.
Later, bitch! Get fucked!
I guess we're not going to call the cops and indicate there may be a body on the premises, nor are we going to tell the daughter so maybe she can confront her mother. I don't know what was supposed to be the conclusion to that story arc, but we didn't really get one other than this is what happened. And it proves my point that everyone is murderers if they're tested to. Yes, we are all capable of murder if it's the wrong day and the wrong set of circumstances. I don't debate that. But that doesn't mean we all do it. So, why don't you explain why you murdered your wife? Because that's what we clearly need to know. If everyone's just like, oh, it's so weird that you would murder your wife. And even the warden of the prison's like, I want to give you all these special privileges and get you off of death row and get you pardoned because that's how good of a guy you are. And you're all about atonement, but you still murdered your wife. And clearly there was a reason, and you didn't think that whatever the reason was justified murder, which, fine, but still. Why can't you share that information? She is sent on a flight to Britain to follow up on Janice, him only testing her ethics just to knock her off her high horse. Mary berates, she just decided to up in her life and start chasing shit around because a murderer told her to do so. One, she held in contempt not even 24 hours ago. And she's not looking to redeem because she realizes that that would be awful. Mary berates, I already got to this part, for fucking up the family, for someone who deserves to go to jail and deserves to get the help that he needs. Never mind him not putting his kid first. I think I've already discussed that. Edgar ends up hanging himself and says the vicar isn't a pedo, but protecting someone else in an ambiguous suicide note that is not going to help anybody.
I did it my way.
So I did conclude this episode with an 8.3, which is a step back from the score it had previously. But it was pretty much a case that was meant to give us an insight, but really felt like treading water. I would have preferred to have doubled down more on the Janice situation and flushed that out a lot more in detail, and kept that being, or even the back and forth between him and Beth because of where they come from. And it would explain more of why she's so eager to simply do what he asks. Who's paying for this shit? Who bought the ticket? How do you get shit to other people? Did you fax the information? Is the fax is going directly to the warden? Everything about this is just, I don't even need to know the express details because, like I said, it has hints of Barry in it. And if it had leaned into that and put focus on one thing instead of going off on this other little quest, I think it would have been more successful. If you want to send feedback, once again, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com. My socials will be below. Like, share, subscribe. Until the next time. Peace, hair grease, black girl magic.